What's up, party people? My name's Chris, and I'm a bookaholic. I'm so easily distracted. Such a perfect mug for me. Bibliophile, octopus. Today I want to talk about this obsession. I keep calling myself a bookaholic. I think sometimes maybe people like it, those kind of phrasings, words, because it fits this preconceived idea on their brain of what it might be like to try to describe ourselves, you know. I have a few things I could probably use to describe parts of my life and part of my journey. There are some that are a little bit more emphasized than others, but it just seems like very consistently, this is one of a couple things that are so consistent in my life, this book obsession. And in part, I've said it to you every single video. My name's Chris, I'm a bookaholic, and you know, you might think, oh, how cute or nice, and gosh, his facial hair is dysfunctional, stuff like that. That's not exaggerated, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to come up with a cute little thing so that I can couch all of these videos in. I mean, this is really a lot of what I spend my time thinking about. Books have been a big part of my life. And actually, the whole trajectory of parts of my life have changed because of what I've read. So whether it's just for basic intellectual, growth or spiritual insights, or even just to be taken on an adventure with a story, I love books. And so I have a hard time just saying, oh, I only read this particular genre. That's not true. I don't. I read all the genres and also genres. So genre and genre. You're like, what are we doing? We're talking about books because, bibliophiles stick together, bibliophiles, bookaholics, that kind of stuff. I got a stack of books here I just want to go through and have some fun with. So what I want to do is I'm going to highlight 3 or 4 book magazines. These magazines are almost like kind of papers, are specifically focusing on books. I love these. Some are pretty well known, and I might even use the word famous because, watch out. Here's the first. London Review of Books. This is, I don't want to say pretentious, but I mean, much of the books that are kind of highlighted are not ones that maybe you're going to find immediately on your initial Amazon exploration. I think that's one of the things I like about this magazine, is that it spends a lot of time looking at some books that wouldn't normally be on my feed. Although, as that being said, and Hilary Mantel recently passed away, and so this came out in 2020. I feel like something happened. So, anywho, but they had a recent book by Hilary Mantel in here. And of course, when I want to find it, because it was literally just here, or should I say literarily? Anyway, sad to think, but just a few years later, obviously no longer with us. I like this magazine. Some of these magazines kind of went through a bit of a struggle post-pandemic, and so some are just kind of getting their feet under them. You can get certain ones certainly in a digital platform format. Here's one I've loved for years, this Bookmarks magazine. Bookmarks magazine. This one came out in 2023, and I've already apparently beat the snot out of this. This is a lot better for me. Just at a quick glance, they'll have a star system here, for the books that they're highlighting. And so there's a number of little reviews that are in here. Like here's one for Age of Vice by Deepti Kapoor. I'm sure you've seen that out in the wild if you've ever been to a Barnes & Noble. A lot of those kind of books you're going to find in here, and a few that are a little bit off the beaten path, but these seem like they're a little bit more immediately accessible for the average bear. Here we go. Number 3, the New York Book Review. Again, not that I'm trying to use this word pretentious in a careless way. But, you know, these, again, this is going to be a little bit different than, this is like the American version of the London Book Review. What gave that away was the New York Book Review. But anyway, of course, the New York Times and, you know, New York as a whole has been, you know, seen as such a great bastion for really, you know, catering to the arts and, you know, you have Broadway and just the literary world that's available, and used to have so many incredible bookstores. There's still a number of them there, the Strand and the like. But, you know, they're highlighting in here a lot of books that, like, I don't necessarily think you're going to find popping up constantly on your Amazon page. But I do like this kind of stuff. I love being introduced to different things than what I'm interested in right now in, maybe, and then all of a sudden there's something else that's presented and you're thinking to yourself, that's kind of cool, and maybe I'll explore that. So yeah. And one other, I mean, this fits a little bit with the bookmarks, but this is called Fine Books and Collections. There's so many more, you know, and I personally, I'm kind of a sucker for any of it. So, but Spider-Man Amazes in an Astounding Sale. So you can look and see, you know, some are really kind of, I don't know, recognizable stories and authors and themes, from Moby Dick, you know, to The Worlds of Tomorrow. So there's some, looks like here, some, look at that old, almost ecclesial kind of royal calligraphy. I'm not 100% sure what, I mean, it's kind of Canterbury Tales-ish, kind of, you know, monastic iconography to a degree. Boy, I don't think that any of those descriptions are right, but you get the point. Maybe what would have helped is if I would have read that article before highlighting it. Now we're back to Wales. There's Moby Dick, right? So I like me book magazines that are kind of books. And I think if you're going to be a bibliophile or a biblioholic, you know, book dragon, book lover, all that kind of stuff, you're probably familiar with these, and I can think of, you know, a number of others that I've had over the course of the years. Some really just work with me, and even books that are catered to people who are writing, periodicals, magazines, reviews, those kind of, you know, avenues and platforms. I gravitate towards anyways. I'm interested in them, even if it's not initially for me. And so I think there was one on poets and poetry and on writers for them specifically. And I've probably had subscriptions to all of them over the years. Yeah. Kind of wanted to, I think what initially started this idea of the video, which I think we're just sticking with this idea of Bookaholic 101. I have this book here. I'll show you the cover in a second. I have a tendency to sign all the books after I finish them, and this is 1997, January, so just beginning the year, and I found this book, and the note that I put back there, you know, over 25 years ago, was "This is so me," and this is the book. It's a book lover's diary, and when I first got it, I found, you know, I loved it, and for a long time, then even Barnes and Noble was putting out these. They were like an annual calendar that had, you know, quotes from literary, you know, recognized literary heroes, and I found some of that in here. You know, like you could have these quotes from famous authors and people of influence. You know, and then you could put in there like specifics about what you read. So I started this. This is way pre-Goodreads, obviously, pre-internet and happiness and all of that. So this was that way to kind of remember what I'd read. And when I first started doing Goodreads, I used this book to try to, you know, put it all down. Well, they're still making stuff like this today, you know. Is that Walt Whitman there? They're making these kind of books, these little book journals. That written platform, the platform to put down your thoughts, is so important. Still, for so many book lovers, people who even want to just kind of enjoy both platforms, maybe Goodreads, and have these kind of little book lover diaries. So I'm going to have to do another video. I'll do obviously a, Bookaholic 101 part 2. But one of my all-time favorite books, which I've used over and over again, and I've brought this up to you guys before, is this book called Home with Books. And I read this and soaked in it and looked at it, and I just could not get enough. And it's basically, people like me, people who are obviously addicted to not just books, but the experience of books, the ways to present them, and so you can see, like, certainly, obviously, people who have a different financial category and than I, and maybe than you, but it's the same. Look how warm this feels when you look at that. This book, when I bought it, I think it was close to $50 or so. I'm sure it's still available out there in the wild, but you might have to specifically order it. There's the ISBN number, and I have a few of these kind of books here, and maybe when I get to the bottom of the pile, I can show you some more. But this book, to me, was a massive, just a hit for the addiction. It was the satisfying match between just reading about people who have the similar addiction, but also seeing a glimpse into the things that they're passionate about and interested in. And obviously, depending on where you are in my house, you can easily see what I'm most passionate about. I have the whole upstairs is really dedicated to, ecclesial books and spiritual books and, Catholic commentaries and things of that nature, because that's a huge part of my life and my world. I've taught at a university, a couple universities over the years, and have required books for students, and I've done work in my advanced degrees in the realm of theology. So the whole upstairs is just a theological buffet of goodness. Downstairs in the main area are things like, mysteries and thrillers and all that kind of good stuff. And then predominantly, what kind of fills my office here are, books, science fiction and fantasy. So, that's it. In so many ways, those are really important. And then I have walls that are just filled going upstairs, and in the main fireplace room that are all like biographies and Native American works, and pioneer history and biographies. And then there's these old books that are so stunning on the shelf. One day I'll get an actual video out that shows it all, but so that's just kind of very interesting to me. Just the whole idea of just, here are magazines that are highlighting, this addiction, these books to keep an eye out for, books that are not on the primary, Amazon pages and, the Barnes and Nobles, but are really books of influence and importance. And then you have, people who are, they like those coffee table books. My coffee table books generally have to be either, about, some religious thing, maybe churches in Italy, or, whatever, Mother Teresa or the Vatican or whatever. I like that kind of stuff. And then, or books about books. Ultimately, these big, huge coffee table books that just gives a person a chance to say, oh, well, this is why he is the way he is. Anyway, obviously, I love this stuff. Maybe there's a magazine, a periodical that you read, a peer-reviewed journal even. I don't know what it is. Maybe you can find one I haven't found yet. That would be amazing. I can't imagine that you would have found one that I don't already have subscribed to. But maybe you do, and that would be awesome. I would love to have that in my, comment section. But then maybe, you have these coffee table books. I have about 5 of them. I'd love to see if there's some out there I've missed. So, let me know. All right. I love this stuff. I hope you do too.